Your shop visitors are not converting, and I know exactly why. After helping dozens of e-commerce brands improve their conversion rates, working with brands like Ahead Nutrition, Def Shop, Rosenthal, PKW.de, and many others, I have come to see exactly what the conversion killers are over and over again. Here's the thing. It's not fancy tools or any kind of conversion hacks you see on LinkedIn every single day. The reality is most e-commerce companies are bleeding money because they're approaching conversion rate optimization the completely wrong way. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why visitors are not converting, and I'm going to give you the exact framework how to fix it. So let's dive right in. Problem number one is a complete lack of audience research and understanding. Most e-commerce businesses totally neglect research on their core audience and actual customers, on their actual customers, not somebody else's. This means if you're not doing any kind of research, you will have no understanding of your customers' specific and potentially changing needs and their pain points. What is it they're actually feeling? What are they going through? What are they trying to solve with your product? If you're already selling your products, of course, you probably have a product that's somewhat working, but you might not have the exact angle yet that will help your customers understand your product, understand that they need your product, and you will have no way of really understanding their specific needs. This typically leads to a few things. One of them definitely is misaligned messaging. You might be going in the totally wrong direction with your messaging. You might be talking about how smooth your, let's say, face cream is, when in reality your customers just don't want the cream they're ordering to hurt your skin. That leads to messaging not really resonating because it's not tailored to your audience and it's not addressing their core problems. And ultimately what that will lead to is like what we call customer journey gaps. So in their customer journey, there will be just like points at which they're dropping off. They might not have their needs met at every single step of the journey, and ultimately leading to them potentially not purchasing or deferring the purchase to a later point in time. So I like talking about problems, but obviously also on how to fix them. One of the probably simplest things you can do is just talk to your customers. I've been saying this on and on LinkedIn in the past, but it's really something I can just recommend over and over again. It's do surveys, do interviews with your customers, even if it's like something that doesn't scale. Call 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 customers if you have the time, and apparently I have low battery, but that's okay. Talk with your customers one way or another, and also use analytics to gather insights about them. There's tools like Clarity that you can use completely for free to understand where they are struggling when they're using your website. This might give indications as to where in the journey, this could be the product description, this could be the imagery, this could be on landing pages, anywhere. You could understand where they are dropping off, where they're having problems understanding. Maybe you see this through them clicking back and forth and stuff like that. But definitely talk to them and then look at how are they interacting with your site. Then you'll identify each touch point that your potential customer prospect has with your site, and then step by step optimize these experiences to address your customers' needs that you've identified ideally through surveys and other qualitative tools effectively. Start with the touch points that indicate that you're losing a lot of people. This could, for example, be after the add to cart or after people going to the product page. Maybe nobody's putting anything into cart. Don't start with checkout at that point, right? Because the problem is somewhere else. Clearly, ask yourself at every step of the customer journey, what is my customer's biggest problem right now? Not generally, but right now at this step in the customer journey. And obviously, there could be multiple things, but try to dumb it down to a few problems. And it could be multiple, but you need to start somewhere. And then for this problem, or for each one of the problems, you try to create what we call a problem statement, right? Here, I'll underline it, a problem statement. That's basically just what's happening, what's the problem, who's having that problem, where in the journey, that's why we looked at all the customer journey steps, is that happening, and what is your hypothesis behind why they are having that problem, right? Don't think about solutions yet. I can just, maybe I'll highlight this actually. Don't think about solutions yet. We're just thinking about problems for the moment. There's a quote that's attributed to Albert Einstein. If you had an hour to think about a problem, or something like that, think 55 minutes about the problems and 5 minutes about the solution. And this is the same thing we're doing here. If you have multiple customer problems identified, prioritize them by the impact to the customer when solved and the impact on your business when solved. All right, you can do this in an Excel spreadsheet with numbers 1 to 10 or something like that, and then, or 1 to 5, whatever, and then just rank them accordingly. If you have like 10 customer problems, maybe start with 3. But once you have them, then you can start thinking about solutions. You could think about, could I be optimizing messaging? Like, depending on the problem, of course, that you identified, this will differ. But try to find ways to solve these problems for your customer, not just for yourself. And then once you have a few solutions lined out, you can start prioritizing them. I think we have another video, like the complete conversion rate optimization course, where we show you how to, where I show you actually how to prioritize test ideas. Because obviously, if you have the traffic, you shouldn't just like implement this and be on your way. You should actually use these solutions and test them as test ideas, as experiments, A/B tests, and put them in your roadmap, and step by step find out what's actually working, and validate these customer problems and your solutions for them. All right, we've talked a lot about problems, so let's go to problem number 2, which is primarily copying competitors. You might already see a little pattern here. Like, we're not talking about you need this and that specific social proof on your site, or you need this specific way to call to name your call to action. It's the underlying things that really make and break the customer journey, and hence lead to your shop visitors not converting. Again, most businesses that I see, that I talk to every week, they fall into the trap of literally mimicking their competitors. There's this trend on LinkedIn, and I've certainly posted stuff like that before. It's not bad, but what I see a lot is like 10 hacks for to increase your conversion rate, or 20 experiments in an Airtable or whatever, which is all fine. But one of the big things here is that most of the time this is based on research that was done meticulously on another brand, not your own brand. And what this means is that every single brand is different. They might look the same, they might have the same kind of language, but still the customers that a single brand attracts, and for whatever reason, it's typically different people buying from that brand. And that also means different people, different problems, and hence what I can always recommend, if you're quote unquote stealing from competitors, or just getting inspired by them, always do your own research. Just use it as a starting point. But what's actually so bad about copying competitors? One, you're not leading. As a company, you don't just want to be the person like walking behind the others. You want to be at the forefront of innovation. You want to do your own first-party research and lead the way. There's this illustration, I think, or a comic or something, and it's the swimmer that looks to the sides. It's definitely not the swimmer that's going to achieve that's going to win the race first. It's the swimmer that concentrates on their goal and on their training themselves. That's the swimmer that's going to win. And that's something I would also like put in here. So focus on your business, focus on your customers, and not try to look left and right too much. Because what worked also for one brand A, maybe a competitor, maybe just a completely unrelated brand, that might not necessarily work for you, especially if it's in another industry or whatever. But even if it's the same kind of brand you're comparing against, doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for you as well. Then, even said that, but you don't even know if what they have, if what you see at other brands, if it's, for example, if you're just like trying to look at like some kind of big brand, like look at a Nike or whatever, or a brand that's more similar to yours, you have no idea, but just looking at their website, if what they have implemented at this moment is actually tested, right? So there's this quote, I think it's also being attributed to Winston Churchill. I believe no statistic that I haven't faked myself, and while I'm not sure if it's actually something he said, I think it's something that you can easily translate to A/B testing and trusting results you've seen. One, typically things that look like they're too good to be true, typically they're wrong. But also with test results you see from other companies, unless I actually see the numbers behind it and I see all the data, it's really hard to trust it, and it's really hard to verify. And hence, the evidence really just is very different compared to evidence that you create yourself. Although sometimes you just don't have a starting point, which is why I do recommend using tools like the one by Jakub Lenovsky, goodui.org, which does a tremendous, like really spectacular job at compiling patterns of A/B tests and getting verified test results from various people who test in the industry and are open and for whom it's possible to share their findings and their data with the community and the obviously paying members of this site. But that's actually one way you could actually like in a way crowdsource ideas and use it as a starting point for your experimentation roadmap. Now, how to fix it? I already gave a bit away of this, I think, but go back to step number one, do your research, believe me, it is worth it, trust me, and then use what we call like strategic opportunities to guide your way. There's a YouTube video, I called it A/B testing was hard until I understood these concepts. I'm basically talking about how to create strategic opportunities that are aligned with your company strategy, and how to use that to then go further. One little disclaimer, because I can already hear all the people saying, hey, but you're all just trash talking best practices and just trying things out and just doing everything based on research. I know that's not the reality. And it's not my time and place here to trash anybody just trying things out. But I do want to highlight that for a lot of brands, just trying things out that work for other people will not work for them. And it's so important to just, if you're already copying from other companies, use it as a starting point and overlay that with your own research. Even better, do your own research first, and maybe then you come across some of these ideas you've seen with other brands and then use that as inspiration. But please always do your own research, because otherwise it's really hard to create an understanding of your own customers' problems and their desires, needs, etc. It'll pay off, and it's such a small cost compared to just randomly trying things out. And while we're on the topic of strategy, let's go to problem number 3, which is a lot of brands do not have a clear strategy and direction. And most of it is because they're lacking the basics. And what I see a lot of the time is that when there is no business strategy and no goals, like all of the efforts are misaligned. And while obviously on a business level, most companies do have a strategy, on an experimentation level and an A/B testing and CRO, conversion rate optimization level, a lot of e-commerce companies do not have a strategy. And then what happens as an effect of that, or as an outcome of that, is that all the efforts, or most of the efforts, are just misaligned or just based on pure assumptions. And typically this leads to, like, if you don't have metrics that you're working towards, right? If you don't have, you maybe have oh, we're working towards a better conversion rate, but there's so much more. You can like build a metric tree. You can better understand how do all the metrics and KPIs interact. If one changes, what other metrics are changing, etc. You really want to have a strategy. And for that, I think I mentioned it already here, but there's this point of strategic opportunities. In that video, I show strategic opportunities are just one part of a strategy, of course, but I show how you can go about removing randomness, work towards clear goals, meaningful wins instead of meaningless wins, and create purpose as part of your experimentation and A/B testing strategy. There's a few steps. I do outline all of that in that video, but it's one, reflect on your company strategy and align vision, mission, and goals. Then define and more or less also research your customer problems, rank them, similar to what I showed here. Actually, it's the exact process. Then map your metrics and make sure to decide on outcome metrics, not the descriptive and intermediate. I explain what that is in the video. And then define approximately 3, I always go at least for 3 strategic opportunities and the customer problems within that, and then go about creating solutions. So here we have it, the real reasons why your shop visitors aren't converting and the exact framework how to fix it. So now you have 2 options. 1, work on all of that alone, do all the mistakes that probably everybody does when they're first starting out, when they're trying to implement a strategic experimentation program. Or you can start working with us or just hop on a consulting call with us and we'll figure out 1, where you are right now, what the biggest problems and obstacles are. We'll do what we call a growth assessment. We analyze your current setup, identify biggest roadblocks and bottlenecks, create a custom roadmap for you, and then we can decide together if we are a good fit, if we can work together, and how we can specifically help you go from where you are right now to your ideal outcome at the end, so you can improve your optimization program. So if you want to stop leaving money on the table, transform your shop's conversions, then click the first link down in the video description and book a growth assessment with me or someone on my team. We'll analyze your current setup, we'll identify the biggest roadblocks and bottlenecks, and create a custom optimization roadmap for you and your business. And in any way, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any further content on e-commerce optimization and A/B testing and experimentation strategies. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace out. Bye-bye.